people, welcome and thank you for tuning in to our Bettery Hub channel's professional series live chat and your weekly dose of transformative business ideas and solutions, where we bring you business leaders, industry experts, and game changers who are making the difference and impact in their respective industries, locally and globally. So stay tuned and engage with us to learn how these leaders go out there and do what they do, and discover their X factor. And I'm your host, Sakti, certified and qualified to bring you your satisfaction, a whole lot of action with our guest speakers for the next 1 hour. Now, today, I'm extremely thrilled once again to have our guest, Wouter Maes, Operations Director of Survival Systems International, O&M Private Limited, Siaptek Private Limited, and also the co-founder of Offshore Private Limited. Now, Wouter, born in a small town in the north of Belgium, worked himself through numerous challenges, crossroads, making the best of opportunities that comes across his way, and building friendships and constantly developing himself to be where he is today. As I said, currently he's the co-founder of Offshore Private Limited with his business partner Ahmad Sultan Khan, who unfortunately was not able to join us today. But let's get inspired as Wouter shares his journey and the key lessons that he has learned as a business owner. So without further ado, let's invite Wouter.
Hey,
Wouter.
Hey, good to see you again. And hi to everybody on the chat, whoever you are, wherever you are. Thanks, Sakti. Thanks for having me.
Hey, great. And thank you so much, Wouter, to join us amidst your busy schedule. I know you have a lot of calls coming on and so many things going on at your side of your business. Thank you so much.
It's very nice to be here. Very nice for you to invite me. I also know that you're starting on this journey, and it's a very nice platform. I've been tuning in, so kudos to you. Very nice chats, and I hope that today we have some good interaction with the viewers as well. So looking forward to it.
Yes, definitely. And in fact, for our viewers, thank you for joining us, and feel free to, any point of time, engage us through the Facebook comment section. Just ask any questions you have. So Wouter will be able to answer your questions or any queries. And we really hope to see you guys, get engaged while we are having our live chat, our conversation with Wouter today. So Wouter, let's start up about yourself. I'm really interested to know about your journey, about yourself and the journey behind your current success and where you are today.
Yeah. Before I start, again, let me reach out to your viewers, Sakti, because this is your show as much as mine now being on the stage. So guys, wherever you are, if you're not local, if you're overseas, or if you're watching this later on, get in touch. Say something on the screen now, or drop me a message later on. If we haven't spoken in a long time, catch up again, or if you're new, just reach out. It's always nice to meet new people. Yeah. So saying that first.
And Wouter, before you go on, we have our first viewer. Thanks, Sultan Ahmad Khan. Thank you so much for those of you. Yeah. Anyway, this is Wouter's partner, business partner, and a very good friend of ours. Ahmad, thank you for joining us.
My partner in crime. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it for the show, but thanks for logging in, Ahmad.
Yeah, and let's move on. So Wouter, about yourself.
Yeah, so where should I start, Sakti? I think maybe I should start from where I come from. Like you mentioned, I'm from Belgium, from a small town. So I've been living in Singapore for quite a while, but I come from a small town in Belgium, but small town, but a big family. So I have my father, mother, then I have 3 siblings. And I have 23 uncles and aunts, and about 50 over cousins. I can't count my nieces and nephews anymore, but basically my family is half the town. So that's where I'm coming from. Basically, I come from a very simple background. Yeah. In my youth, I remember a happy childhood playing outside. Not too much thinking about school, to be honest. Playing out in the forest, fishing. That was basically what I did when I was young. and my parents allowed us to do that. Yeah. Um, Going to school, I must say that I was blessed with having a memory that I could retain things without studying too much. So although I didn't have to focus on school too much, my grades were not too bad. So that allowed me to change my school from a general school to a technical school, and then finally getting grades that would allow me into college. So I graduated as a electronics engineer, and I started my first job in the factory at Philips in Belgium. So we were making CD recorders at that time. So that's when I got my first paycheck. That's where things started to ease up for the family because my father lost his job when I was about 12.
Wow.
So he couldn't find a job because he was well into his 40s in those days. And yeah, we were quite strung up as a family for quite a while. So we weren't well to do. We always had good food on the table. My mom looked after the household, but it was tough for a while. So when I got my first paycheck, for myself, I could buy things, I could go somewhere, I could party, but also it allowed my family to go shopping again because for the longest time we didn't have a car, for instance. And when I bought my first car, the old Opel Kadett, I remember. So that's the thing that my mom could use to do her shopping again. She didn't have to go on a bicycle or she didn't have to walk anymore. So that's what I remember from my first job, and that was in the.
And sorry, since we got to, before we move on, I'm going to bring back some of your old memories. I managed to get some of this pictures. You gave me your first car for those of you. This was about a bit more. The first car. Anything about this car?
This is my car. It was 14 years old when I bought it. I bought it very cheap. It was about in this condition, so it was very good, very well maintained. I drove it for another 5 years, and then I still sold it off for some money. But my mom cried when I let this car go. So the car meant a lot to my family. So that's why I sent you that picture, Sakti.
Yeah. And I wanted to make sure that all of our viewers will be able to see that picture. I'm sure it brought a lot of memories to you.
Do you have any of those other pictures that you're going to show up? Because some of those are not fit for the show, I think.
I've kept them. So, as and when, if I find that it's right time for me to show those pictures, definitely I'll put it up there.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so that was my first job. I took the job. In those days, Philips was a very big brand in Belgium, in my area. They employed a lot of people. So actually, they came to my school to recruit people. Recruit students straight out of school. I went up with them. I took the job, and then about 1 year into the job, I was doing night shifts, and then I looked at internal jobs. What can I do differently? What can I do else? So I transferred internally. I took a job in R&D for making the optical pickup units, the laser that shines on the CD. So that development, I joined that group, and I did that for about 3 years, I would say. Learned a lot, met a lot of good people. They took me by my hand and they showed me the ropes of what it is to be an engineer. And then we got into about 2002, where things started to, there's a lot of competition. Yeah, you had the speed race. Everybody had a CD burner in their desktop computer. You wanted to burn your own CDs, back up your data. And then so there was a speed race, 4x, 8x, 24x, 32x, burn your CDs fast. And it got cheaper and cheaper. So Philips moved the entire R&D to another site, and the factory actually moved to China. Wow. So they closed the whole site down. About 2,000 people were let go, and I was part of that group that was let go. So in fact, I came to Singapore because because of a lack of a job, and part of that R&D, as I mentioned, they transferred that to Singapore. So in Singapore, they're making DVD recorders at that time, Xbox. So they needed people that knew CD, that's a related technology. And so I came here as a junior engineer. My ex-boss called me up. He said, "Wouter, did you find a job yet?" I said, "I'm almost there, going to sign the contract." He said, "No, don't. You told me you wanted to travel, you want to work abroad. I got an opportunity for you. Do you want a job in Singapore?" And I said, yeah, sure, let's go. It was out of my comfort zone with fear in my heart, but I had friends and family said, it's far away, but you got to try, just do it. So I did it. And that's really when I decided to come to Singapore.
Yeah, and interestingly, I was amazed, when you were telling me that you were actually about to sign another job or get into another job, and your ex-boss or manager called you up, remembering the fact that you did express your interest, to have a job abroad, and it's amazing, right? When you have an ex-boss calling you up to tell you that hey, it's an opening for you.
True, true. I think we'll touch on that later, Sakti.
Yeah.
We talk about opportunities, but I think it's very true that people around you are very important, even if you don't realize at first. There are opportunities that are there because you know people or because situations happen. Yeah, true.
All right. And how's your move, your journey from Belgium to Singapore?
Yeah, that was, I still remember, it was 15 April 2003. And to be honest, it was my second flight on an airplane. I've been to Spain before on a beach holiday. The second flight that I took was a long haul flight to Asia. I'd never been to Asia before. I told you I'm from a small town, right? So many people in my town, including me at that time, not very well traveled. So a lot of people were asking me, Wouter, why are you moving to China? What is there? So I had to say that Singapore is not part of China. It's somewhere in the east, yes, but it's Southeast Asia. It's different. But even for myself, I didn't know what Singapore was. So that was quite, when I touched down, it was wow, because Singapore is very different from where I come from. But yeah, that's where I arrived here pretty much alone. I knew some colleagues that had transferred as well, a Japanese colleague and one colleague from Belgium, but they moved over with their family. So we weren't really in touch outside from work. So to be honest with you, and to explain to the viewers as well, the first 3 months where I wasn't really sure what was going on or where I was, and so it was like finding my footing. So it took a bit of time, but then I met some friends through some colleagues, went into cycling, and then one fine day, again, I bumped into some people. Some of them have been on your show before, Mr. Dave Rai, yes, Ahmad Sultan. So yeah, we met in Bukit Timah on a mountain bike trail, and then we started talking. One of the guys had mechanical problems. Okay, can I help? Where are you from? Belgium. Play soccer. Enzo Shifu. Yeah, Enzo Shifu. Back in the 80s, the good old days. And then the next day, I played soccer with Sunday Cameroon. So if there's any guys from Sunday Cameroon on the show, they will remember that. So that's when it was like maybe 4 or 5 months into my stay in Singapore, and that's when I realized that okay, during the soccer match, right, there was a fight, and after the soccer match, right, there was beer. So suddenly I was like, hey, that's pretty much the same as back in Belgium. So I started to feel much more at home, and that's
and I want to take this moment to let the viewers see the Sunday Cameroons. This is the team, guys. Viewers, this is the exact team. As you can see, Wouter right at the center, and on his left in the photo, or on our right, is actually Ahmad, his partner. And then we have Dave Rai on the extreme left of the photo, much more different without his beard in his younger days, as you can see, compared to the last time. So it's amazing, and just to keep the viewers informed, I supposed to join the team. I was invited, but I couldn't. So that's a sad thing. Different. I would have been in that photo.
It's too bad, man. We only managed to catch up on the soccer pitch many years later, right, Sakti?
Yeah, much later, much later. I think close to.
Yeah. So I should say it's there's a team. Another team that is closely related to Sunday Cameroon. I think half of the Sunday Cameroon team are also in another team. It's called Team Wusi. So Team Wusi is the closer group of friends where we have a lot of fun over the years. A lot of mix of good people. So yeah, shout out to them.
Right, and it's interesting, right? Some of other sports, got people together. And as we go on in our conversation, I'm sure, because I see a lot of familiar faces, and like what
Mm.
you say, some of these people who have that you met and you maintain a relationship actually did make a big difference in terms of what happened to you across along the time when you're moving
Yeah,
on to different stages. Right.
correct.
So
To be honest, most of my friends know this, but for the viewers, if I didn't meet uh, good colleagues and this bunch of friends, I would have finished my 2-year contract and I would have moved somewhere else, or I went back to Belgium. So that's a big part of why I'm still here. The other part, of course, is through our group of friends, I met my ex-girlfriend, who's now my wife. So yeah, we
right.
got married in 2009. So it's an extension of that group. So it's all connected.
Yeah. And another question before we go into the group of friends and the connections that you made while in Singapore, even prior to that. I knew that you were in the electronics engineering or industry. So
Yeah.
and now when I look at your profile of your company when you were introducing, you are in offshore marine. So how did that happen? That was something that I thought was like, wow, that's a big pivot in terms of
Yeah.
from one industry to the other. So maybe
Yeah.
you want to talk about that.
Yeah. Yes. So you and I have pretty much a similar background, Sakti. We are both electronics engineers. Um, so since I started work, I've been in electronics, whether it's CD burners, DVD recorders. I was with Seagates doing hard drives, some nanotechnology, and there's a bunch of times when I changed jobs because of circumstances or choice. Um, I moved in and out of Philips. I rejoined Philips in the television department. Then I moved to the audio department. Um, so all this time is mostly consumer electronics that I was doing. So why did I change? I think two things. One, again, opportunities. I will come back to that. But secondly, I wanted to do something else. Yeah. So I looked in part-time studies.
Okay.
So eventually, I completed a part-time master's in business management. So I did that with the University of Ireland part-time, and that was 2008, I think. So after that, yeah, I wanted to see things outside engineering, and I moved into consumer research. So Philips was setting up a department for consumer research, and they asked me whether I was up for that job. So I took it, and I did that. So that was one of the things where I saw there's other things out there rather than sitting behind the oscilloscope and resistors and capacitors and chips. And so that's one thing. The other thing is opportunity again, because what happened with Philips is they re-strategized and they sold the whole consumer electronic business.
Okay.
And we were let go. I was asked to go to Hong Kong, to take an assignment there. And I wasn't sure whether that would be the best thing for me because we got married, Marian and I, and then going over to Hong Kong, personal things. She would be here, I would be there. So up until the last week that before I served my notice, the last week I was still in Philips. I didn't know what I was doing. Was I going
Right.
to do this, or was I going to just go find a job? And then my good soccer friend Ahmad called me, say, Wouter, you come for an interview in my company. And I knew that Ahmad was with a Norwegian company. And I said, Ahmad, what job? He said, doesn't matter, just come. There will be a video call with Norway and you talk to them. I have a team here, a team of project managers, and the team leader has found another job. He wants to do something else. So I need to fill that position. And that was on Monday or Tuesday. I went for an interview on Wednesday, second interview on Thursday with the Norwegians over the video like we are doing now. And I joined. Basically, I took a risk because this company is making lifeboats that are installed on oil rigs. and ships that are sailing on the seas. So very different from electronics. So I was like, guys, I don't know about this. I know about project management. I know that I can learn fast. Um, I'm willing to take the risk. If you want to have me and I can prove myself, I don't mind taking a pay cut here. And within 6 months, we talk again. If you're happy with me, you take me on. If not, then we part ways. But if you take me on, please adjust my salary to where it was. And basically, that's what happened. So it was a very steep learning curve, moving from electronics into marine and offshore. But it gave me that view of other things out there.
Right.
And that's what I really appreciate of
And Wouter, I mean, you realize that at one point of time when you were sharing, I had to smile because I just had a comment, intelligence information that came up to me, and this information is from your wife. You know, so she has said that she has encouraged you to change the industry for greater learning. So credit goes to your wife. So I think, yeah. So
I agree. Yes, I agree. Credit goes to her, and also always agree with your wife.
All right. Thank you so much, and from joining us. And we have another comment from Harish. You know, Harish Shastri.
Hey, Harish is on the call. Cool.
Yeah.
Harish.
So
good to see you, man.
Yeah. Hi, Harish. Thank you for joining us. And Harish has said, Wouter, accomplished individual, technically inclined, highly motivated once he takes something into his stride, considered finished with class touch, an individual excellence. Now, I just got to comment on this or maybe add on to what Harish is saying. My short stint or experience with Wouter in terms of preparing or, when we talk about this live chat, I could see the professionalism, how meticulous Wouter is, and that's the key, The moment I look at that, I know this is how operations directors works. It's like, meticulous, point by point. And, there's a lot of that engineering, I could feel the engineer within you when you're talking about, A plus B plus C, and this is how it goes on, everything.
Yep.
And Wouter, just for information, even though we did engineering, the only reason why I never joined any company to do engineering, because I think they would have shut down the moment they hired me. Trust me. So there's the reason why, I went on into the military. Would have been a better place for myself. So, Wouter, now that we are talking about, your transition into the offshore marine, let's talk about, Survival Systems International, your company.
Before that, I want to comment on Harish and thank him for that comment. Harish and I were colleagues for a very long time within the Norwegian company. Company is called, initially it was Norec, then it was merged into Harding, and finally was taken over by Palfinger. So Harish and I were colleagues throughout that journey, and we have worked on many projects together. Harish is a purebred sales guy, fantastic dude. So Harish, thanks, man.
All right, thanks for joining us, and stay tuned with us, Harish, and feel free to give as much comments and feedback on Wouter as we move on. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I interrupted you, Sakti. What were you saying?
No. Yeah, so we were talking about, let's talk about Survival Systems International.
Yes.
Your company.
So for that, I rewind again. I go back to the days of Norec, Harding, Palfinger, and also the downturn in the industry, the offshore and marine industry, because oil prices have taken a dive. And because of that, and because of the acquisition by Palfinger of Harding, at that time, things come together, and the company had to restructure. So that is something that happened, and that happens in every merger and acquisition. At the same time, during the market downturn, I could see I was in charge of all the projects that were executed in Asia. So I had a team of 6 project managers. Every one of them, if anyone is tuning in, good guys, working day in, day out, turning out multi-million-dollar projects. And we were seeing less and less projects because there were not many rigs or ships being built out there. So from 6 project managers, we went to 5, then to 4, then to 3. We didn't have to retrench anybody, but people moved out to a different department or immigrated. So that was a point where I saw for myself things will change. So I told Ahmad that time. Ahmad was in the same company, right? So I told him things will change, and I think I will look out for something else. So actually, I left the company. I left Ballfinger, and I joined Dyson. Dyson, the vacuum cleaners and the hair dryers. So I did a project with Dyson for about a year for a hair styling product. See, I'm a perfect candidate for hair styling product. So I did that with Dyson. Also met a lot of new people there. I traveled to the UK. I was there for 2 or 3 months. Brought the project back to Singapore. Had the team here, developing it out, and yeah, I didn't finish that project. In the meantime, it has launched, so I can say that it is the Dyson Corel, the hair straightener device. So that's what the team was working on that time. But that's again the opportunity or the situation that comes together because of this restructuring in Ballfinger, they had to let go of people. They had to synergize management teams, and Ahmad also came out from the company, and we basically met up over coffee, and we were talking, and we were looking at what we did and what can be done, and we kind of like Ahmad said, "Wouter, we can do this ourselves. Let's start our own business." Okay, yeah, let's look at that. So, long story short, we decided to do it. I left Dyson and I partnered up with Ahmad, and we set up our own company. And the first company that we set up, you on my on your poster, right, Sakti, you can see Siaptek. Siaptek
Yes.
Private Limited was the first company that we did. We had a third partner on that. So the first 6 months we were working on setting that up in Singapore and restructuring the group of companies.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't really go the way we planned it. So eventually we split off from our partner, and Ahmad and I took over the ownership of the Singapore entity. So that was ours then. And at that point it was quite tough. So we had to put some of our own savings into the company to make it float, to make it to the next milestone. And the next milestone really was Survival Systems International. Finally, I come to that. Finally, I come to your question. So we are lifeboat people, yeah, from all those years in lifeboats. So we wanted to do lifeboat. It's difficult to build up a lifeboat brand from scratch. Norec did that in the past. It takes a lot of effort. You need a lot of marketing effort. And it takes a good 3 years. We didn't have money at that time for 3 years. So Ahmad and I decided that we need to look for a partner that is having the same mindset, the same beliefs. And we really found that in Survival Systems International. It's an existing company, American company. Mark and George Beatty are the owners. So Ahmad and I flew to California with our great business plan, presenting it to them. And honestly, we were 50-50 on whether they would even listen to us. But it's a family-owned company. It's a multinational company, but it is a small company. It feels like a family. And the guys were on the same page. They were looking for a change in the company. We were going to set up the Singapore entity for them, which they had in the past, but they had to shut it down because of the market downturn. And then at the same time, we wanted to expand the portfolio of products. So they listened very keenly, and after we had a good dinner, we flew back. We put together a business plan, working together with them, and it basically turned into a marvelous joint venture between us and the guys in California. So that's where Survival Systems started.
And well, that's interesting. So when you were going over to US, with your initial proposal, it was like, a 50-50 chance. You do not know what it's going to be. And you went there with...
Right. Okay. To be honest, we did meet with the SSI Survival Systems International SSI colleagues from the UK, and well, initially they wanted to hire myself and Ahmad and open up an office in Singapore, but we wanted to do our own thing, so we proposed to them a partnership instead. And the guys from the UK office, they were saying, "Oh, I think this one you better talk to the owners directly because I am not able to convey that message properly for you."
Mm.
So we flew to California, and it was one of the worst trips we ever made. Ahmad got very sick on the way there, diarrhea nonstop, and he had to prep himself for the meeting with charcoal tablets. He turned up, all was good. And then after the meeting, the next day, I got sick, down with fever, throat inflammation. So on the way back, I was knocked out in the plane. So the trip itself was horrendous, but we had a very good outcome of it.
Right. And it's awesome, going there with the belief, two partners, going there with the belief that we're going to start something, let's go out there and try it, let's make it happen. I think that was something that I believe along the years would have been a key learning lesson for you guys, right?
Yeah, that's really down to partnerships, partners. Partners, myself and Ahmad, yeah, we are totally different opposites on the spectrum. Ahmad is this extrovert sales guy going out there, talking off the cuff, very, very spontaneous. I am, like you see, Sakti, in the preparation for the call, I am the one that puts in processes, to write things down. Even now, I'm looking at the screen here that I cover all the points. That is me. So Ahmad is the opportunist, looking at it from the opportunity side. I'm the guy that looks at the risk. What do we need to put in place? Do we have enough money? Blah, blah, blah. What is this? What is that? Do a risk assessment. So, but together, that's what you need for a business. And sometimes we disagree and we look at each other. I won't say the F word on the show, but that's also what's needed. So
yeah,
that's a very good compliment. And in our partners in the US, it's the same thing. You need to be on the same frequency, and that's what we felt going there. They walked us through the factory grounds that they have. And Captain George, he's the founding father. He knows everybody from the press to the cleaner to the welder. Say hi, good morning. George is by now 80 years old. He's still every day in the business.
Wow.
Yeah. So his son Mark is now joined the business many years back. So the guys are on the same frequency, and that's what you need. They don't involve in the day-to-day business. But they are very much involved in the direction and the major decision making. So yeah, it's very important to have good partners in business.
Yes, and I do agree with that. I mean, just using we spoke about this. Even in terms of my own company, Bettery Lab. Myself and my partner, similar to yourself and Ahmad, where we are distinctly different. Poles apart, I'm the guy who don't look into details. I like to be out there, going out there for sales and so on. While my partner is he's more into the details. But like what you said, when you have two different distinct people coming together, it becomes a very, complements and becomes a very excellent combination to run a business itself. And I think this is where we talk about chemistry, right? The understanding between partners that we have to really be mindful. Before we move on, I would just like to acknowledge some of the comments given by some of our viewers. Now, most importantly, we have
Dave. There you go.
Yeah, hi Dave, welcome and thank you to join us, and a true contributor, Wouter, to the success of Singapore. Wow, a lot of political comments going on. We have
foreign talent. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, so we talk about foreign talent now. We should have more foreign talents like Wouter in Singapore. Wow, Right.
Suan is Ahmad's wife, and she's always been very upfront about saying Wouter is my favorite angmo, favorite matsale. Yeah, I guess that comes from the fact that it's a blessing in disguise. Going back to when I came to Singapore, I was quite alone the first few months. I was a junior engineer, so I didn't get into that expat community. That is quite, I would say, when you come over and you move into a company, there's a tendency for people to move into that direction because that's the first recognizable points that you have, you gravitate towards. I didn't have those. So I met a group of good colleagues, local friends, and that's where I gravitated towards. And that's also why you see my speech, right? It's not very good English. It's more of a Singlish accent.
Yeah.
And that's I owe that to all my local friends. I don't have many foreign friends here in Singapore. And when I came to Singapore, I didn't speak English very well. So I speak Flemish. The North, we speak Flemish. Then at home, we speak a dialect that is almost German. So the second language in Belgium is French. And then the third official language in Belgium is German. So only in college, as almost a fifth language, if I include my dialect, was English. So when I came here, my English wasn't, I could speak, but really I learned English as Singlish. So very often when I speak to local people over the phone, they don't quite realize immediately that they're talking to a foreigner, which is nice. And that's where I come back to the comment that Suan made. It's very, very important, I feel, that if you move to a different country, you integrate into that country, you absorb the culture, and you become part of that country. I wouldn't want myself to have brought a part of Belgium to Singapore and just build my own bubble here. I'm blessed to am where I am now. So yeah, thanks to Anne.
Yeah, thanks, Suan. And what have you been in Singapore for? What 20 years now, approximately?
Not yet 2003. So it's going to be 20 years.
Okay, all right. So yeah, you do. I mean, definitely, I can say that you do sound like a Singaporean. I mean, if I just pick up a call and talk to you and don't see you, I'll be thinking, I'm just talking to another regular Singaporean guy, on the phone. So I can, resonate where you are coming from. So we have Dave. Thanks, Dave, once again. Now we have Paladin. Yeah, thanks, Paladin, for joining us. Wouter is a strong asset to the company and handle crises well. A good role model. Thanks, Paladin. Thank you so much.
I think this is Pala. I don't know what DIN stands for, but
Pala. Okay.
Thanks a lot, Pala. Please tell us what DIN stands for. I want to know.
So we'll wait for Pala to. And apologies, Pala. I thought it's Paladin. So apologies for my.
No worries.
We will move on.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of where we left off, picking up on the live comment, Sakti. I think I was talking about survival systems and where we were with the partners, correct?
Yes, about the partners. We talked about the partners, the relationship of partners and the importance of partnership, and you even talk about your partners in US itself, where they were very close and
it's important for lifeboats because lifeboats are safety equipment. So paramount for us is safety. We don't compromise on that. And secondly, is the customer engagement, customer satisfaction. Because what happens because of the downturn in the market, right? There's a lot of consolidation. So companies join together and form bigger companies. And because of that, there's a lot of inward focus, how to synergize things, how to restructure things. And that's for us not the case. We focus outward. We focus on customer service. We focus on the safest product that we can make, and that's what our selling point. And that's where we differentiate ourselves.
So in this case, Wouter, if I'm your customer and I'm working with you, what is the value proposition that I expect from your company compared to any other competitors or any other companies that's in the same industry itself or the services you're doing?
What I usually say, right, Sakti, is because lifeboats are actually never meant to be used. We make equipment that hopefully will never be used, but the equipment, when it is used, it must work. Yeah, the ship is on fire or it is capsizing, you need to get into that lifeboat and escape. So everybody who works on that oil rig or is a seafarer on that ship, that's their last escape, unless you want to jump out into the sea, yeah, and probably die. So everybody goes into the lifeboat. Lifeboat goes into the water, and then you sail away from the flames or from the sinking ship. So that's what our product does. That's what our services do as well, because the lifeboat has to work. Every year you need to do a maintenance. Every year we go out, our technicians go onto the ship. They look at all the components of the lifeboat and the cranes, the davits that launch them, and make sure that they work. In the instance that they are needed, they will work. And we issue a certificate that says that this is fit for use. So that's the other part of our business, is the service. So that's what we need to do, and that's what Survival Systems International, our partners, have done for many years, since the late 60s. And that's part of why they are such a great partner, because I can confidently say to you, if you're my customer, okay, we have 65 recorded incidents here, whether they are in the Gulf of Mexico or off in Malaysia or in the North Sea. There was an incident, people escaped with our lifeboat, and 2,264 people went back to their homes, to their families safely with our equipment, because of our service. And I think that is very, very powerful when you can talk to the customer with those facts.
Yes, definitely. I think especially in your line where you're talking about lives, and it's about the trust behind the brand. It's about the trust behind the services of the brand. So yeah, that's so. Just to be clear for myself, so apart from producing the lifeboats, you guys also offer the services to make sure that the maintenance of the lifeboats, the annual checks every year, is also done by your company itself.
Correct. So we have our manufacturing. So we produce lifeboats in China and lifeboats in America as well, in California. So that's when we sell new equipment to when a shipyard is building a ship, or when there's a new oil rig being built. So that's the supply of equipment. And then, like you say, the regular maintenance for ships, because it is mandatory to maintain your lifeboats, like I just said, so that they work in the case of an emergency. So that's the other arm of our business, is the service side.
Yeah, and I can really resonate where you are coming from. I mean, for myself, one part of my business is actually in the financial planning industry, where we talk about risk management, right? And nobody expects or hopes to do some kind of a claims. We all want to be safe, but the thing is that when things happen, I want to be with a credible company, somebody I can trust, and I know that it will be there for me when things doesn't turn out well for me. And I think this is where with the relevant partners or the right partners you have over with the numbers that you just gave, 2,000 over people, guys went back home safe to their families. I think that's a very powerful story. Definitely. Wow.
And that goes also to the partnership of our own people, our own staff, our personnel, right? I know that when our guys go on board the ship, they do a quality job. Yeah, they open up the brakes, they check everything that needs to be checked. I give you an example. Within a lifeboat, right? Because you can be out in the sea for many days. So within a lifeboat, there's water and food to keep you alive for a long time. But the food and water expires. So our guys make it points, and every single item, candy bar, and the water is checked. So that all these things, it's very easy for companies that want to focus only on the economical side of things, on the margins, that you go on, you may not hire the most skilled people, and you can do a job at a cheaper rate than your competition. We don't do that. We have very good people in our team, and they focus on the task at hand. If a job takes eight hours, the job takes 8 hours, and that's what the guys do. That's really, we have very good skilled guys in our team.
And I think that's important, to have the relevant guys who have the heart as well as the skills to be able to do the job. It's more than job to them. It's about when you're very clear in the purpose of our business, it's the impact that it can make to the people out there. It's about lives, it's about safety, And I think that's key. And just to check with you, you guys just celebrated your 1 year anniversary not long ago, right? Correct me. Oh, okay, right. So I got this photo. Yeah. So this is some of the leaders in your team.
To be honest, unfortunate that this picture doesn't have the complete team. Not everybody was in the office that day, but we got a small cake to celebrate our first year on 1st of April, just a few months back.
Okay, great.
You can see myself, you can see Ahmad, Allah is there, and then two of our senior technicians that have been in the industry for many years. So I was actually having these two guys in mind when I was talking about these guys go into the lifeboat and do a terrific job every day. They are all out on the ships and on the oil rigs every day in Rotterdam.
Right, awesome guys, awesome. I think it is just nice that we managed to have this photo. Thanks a lot, Wouter, to send me this photo that came up at the right time. You know, where we can see specifically the key guys who have been making the difference for the company itself.
Exactly.
And, yeah, and we'll be move on. Oh, we got a couple of comments. First of all, from Ahmad again. Wouter, hidden skills is that he's a good salesman underneath, you know, and always goes out of the engineering circle and help to close sales for the team. Wow, you know, so that's the thing. Now that we know that Wouter, apart from the fact that you're a meticulous and operational guy, or you look into operations, you're also a sales guy. Well trained by Ahmad, I believe.
Yeah, I learned a lot of things from Ahmad. Sales is one of them, but I can never be as good as him. I always say Ahmad is a born salesman. I wasn't born. I was born an introvert, so I had to pick up some of these skills, and I'm not perfect at it, but I'm learning. And a lot of the points come from people like Ahmad and Harish just now, and Paula as well.
Yeah, and we have Farid. Takes a lot of pride in his work, meticulous attention to details. Great colleague to work with. Thanks, Farid.
Yeah. Later, you have to bring up that soccer team picture again. Farid is in that Sunday Cameroon picture as well, Sakti.
Okay, sure. I'll bring up the photo later when we are talking about. We will definitely come into the topic. So you know, I would love to have Farid to be shown out there as well. And just a point on sales before we move on. Now I'm a strong believer. I was in the military for like 12 years. So for me and sales, I thought it's never going to be my cup of tea. But I realized that actually sales is not just a skill set, but it's what we've been doing since young, right? I mean, we want something, we go out there and we influence people to give us what we want. For example, I'm sure in your case, Wouter, I don't know if it's the correct forum, but were you the one so-called with your wife then, a girlfriend then? Were you the one tackling her?
Are you talking about the dating itself?
Yes, the dating itself.
Actually, no. It was it was again Ahmad.
Okay. So he's the sales guy.
Ahmad was the sales guy trying to date my wife, and he tagged me along. He said, "Wouter, let's do a double date because I don't quite know what to talk to this lady about because she's with the government and she seems highly educated. So why don't you come along? Then we do a double date." So yeah, that was the plan. Of course, that plan failed because my lady stood me up, and then I said, "Ahmad, you go ahead." He said, No, you come along." So I still went, and then when I walked into the door, Marion forgot about Ahmad basically.
Okay.
Long story short.
No, because the reason why I asked this question, most of the time you realize that, even during dating, right, we do everything possible to let the other person know and to be clear that you are the best possible option you have at the point of time. And that's sales itself. And that's why I strongly feel that we do sales day in, day out, every day. So, it doesn't matter, being an introvert, you may not be good in sales. So, I mean, the point I want to put across is sales is something that just something that we all do day in, day out. It's just that whether we are conscious or not. So I'm not surprised that you are really doing sales, even though you see yourself being more on the operations. And now that
I can bring it back to the guys that do the servicing as well, because they do a good job. They do the job well. They talk to the captain of the ship. They talk to the superintendent. It's very important that people that have that job realize that, and we have good guys that realize that. So I can say that from all the jobs that we are doing, all the every job has an evaluation report for the guys that are doing the job, how the job was done. I have not seen a bad evaluation report. It's all out of a 10-point score, right? All 8, 9, 10. So that's part of sales. And so everybody in the company is sales. Even we have a part-time cleaning lady, right? So Auntie comes in and makes sure that our toilet is clean, our desk is clean. That's part of the sales, because we come to the office, there's a clean office, and that motivates you. You don't have to wipe your own table, because Auntie is taking care of that. She cuts fruits for us. Morning there's breakfast. Yes, so everybody in the company contributes to that.
Yep.
That's it. Right.
Yeah, and now that we talk about sale, right? What inspired you, to take on your entrepreneurial journey? It's like you were in the engineering department and you were working for Palfinger, and then you were with Dyson, and then suddenly, Ahmad comes to you and say, "Let's go." So definitely it's a big move. I can resonate with myself when I was in the military, and then suddenly I wanted to be self-employed or start my own business. Now, what inspired you to want to take that journey?
I can't pinpoint it to one thing, but I guess it's I told you, right, I come from a big family, so many of my uncles, uh, they have their own business, whether they are carpenters, electricians, butcher, bakers. They did it themselves, and many times family gatherings they talk about the business, the hardship, about the good and the bad. So I guess something in the back of my mind stuck about my uncles talking about that, because all the way through my career I was doing the work, being a good engineer, contributing to the team, and basically being a salaried worker. And I was working for multinational companies, big companies, Philips, 100,000 people, Seagate, many thousands of people. Um, Dyson, a growing company as well, tens of thousands of people. So within a big company, you play a very particular role. You see, like your cubicle that you sit in every day, that's your area within the company, but there's thousands of cubicles out in the world. So I think when I took on the consumer research role in Philips, I got to do different things. I saw how the product was sold, how people interact with the television or the home cinema, how they use the remote control. I kind of expanded my vision away from my oscilloscope every day doing engineering work. And then when I moved to Gorek Harding Holpinger, being a project manager, we saw the whole thing coming through. We were working with the sales team on the review of the contract, signing of the contract, and then starting the project, doing the production, doing the testing, delivering the lifeboat, and then finally invoicing it and chasing the money so that the company can get paid. All those things, we saw the whole chain. And that's where I felt the involvement is so much more than a cubicle that I was sitting in for so many years. And not that that is a bad thing. I'm just recounting where I think I got that spark from. So when Ahmad and I talked about doing the business ourselves, I was falling back on that inspiration maybe that gave me the courage to take the step and say, yes, Ahmad, let's do it. Let's do this together. Yeah. So I think that's a long answer to your question, maybe. But it makes sense.
Yeah, but of course, in any entrepreneurial journey, you realize that there are challenges, especially the last few months with COVID situation, and with so many things going on. So what are the challenges that you face? You know, especially with the current COVID situation, and what do you think is the way ahead for you guys?
Again, I think we are fortunate that our business is two arms. We have the manufacturing of equipment, and we have the service side. So actually, COVID for us it comes at the tail end of the market dip. So I would say, end of last year, early this year, we could see that more offshore projects were kickstarting, more ships were being built, new projects were kicking off. So the market seemed to start a recovery phase. And that's kind of what we planned for in our business plan, is that after 1 year going into it, we would see the market picking up, and then we would be ready with products to sell. But now that is protracted, so a lot of projects are being postponed and canceled, and COVID is dragging that process. So many of the operators and owners are now holding on their projects to see what happened. So that's basically where COVID is for us. It impacts our business. But on the other hand, is we are doing service and maintenance for ships, and ships have to sail because the economies need to move on.
Yeah.
So we are still able to go on board ships, make sure that their lifeboats are working, because they need to call on the different ports in Asia, in Europe, in America, because many flights are now grounded, even for freight. So the ships remain the lifeline of the economy. So because of that, we are considered essential services. So we have been able to remain in business, although most of us that have a position in the office, we have been working from home. I'm still working from home. But our engineers, our technicians, they have been able to work in split teams, go on board the vessel, taking precautions. So that has helped us. And I must say, I don't want to make this a political debate, but there are elections now coming up. But if I compare Singapore to other countries, there have been measures put in place that really help us as a business. And many businesses are being helped to stay afloat. And that's really something that we have to be appreciative of. But in many countries, that's not the case. Many people are out of a job. Many businesses are shutting down. But yeah, I think part of the thing that is happening with COVID-19 is that we need to think of other things. We need to work from home. What we are doing right now, maybe this would have happened in the conference room, with people sitting in the audience with a projector screen. We were doing it online. So that's something that you did, Stucky. For us, one thing that we have recently started is remote inspection. So instead of our guys flying into China or flying into Thailand or wherever they need to go, right now it's not possible. But still, there are requests from ships that are calling on a shipyard in China, for instance. We can't go there. So how can we help the customer? So we are working on a solution where we basically ship a hard hat, a helmet, which has audio speakers, which has a camera system, and it has a heads-up display. So that helmet can be worn by a person who is generally skilled and not a specialist in lifeboat. So that person can walk through the lifeboat or see the crane or the davit, and we can guide him through that process. We can work with a team that is generalist by our specialists, right, sitting behind a computer here in Singapore, or our production guys in California. So that is something that we have recently started, and basically we're doing a few jobs in China at the beginning of July. So that's really enabled us to help the customer, because without it we would have had to say, I'm sorry, but we can't fly, we can't do the job. At least now we have a way out to help the customer in that regard. So I think that's one of the examples that I think for our company it's a new thing that we are trying at the moment.
And I think this is the key importance, right, for businesses to be able to adapt and transform, to still be able to value add to your customers. And this is a very classic example you just shared, Wouter, the initiative that you guys take. So, I mean, in terms of your own experience as a business owner, how important do you think this ability to transform and adopt is important for business owners?
It depends on the business. But it's not one thing, and it's what works for one business doesn't work for the other. But what I could say is that if you focus on day-to-day items, right, it narrows your view. Especially for directors of companies and business owners, it's important to once in a while step back consciously and look at what's happening in the broader view, so that you can adapt to that. And this COVID situation is one thing. We may face a second wave or even a third wave, but I think it should prepare us for other things to come. For instance, climate change. Maybe it's not for us per se that we'll have to change, but our kids, the kids of our kids, the generations down the road, will face problems that are much bigger than what we are facing right now.
Right.
So that's something really to think about for businesses. What's going to happen in 5, 10, 20 years? How do you adapt to that?
Right. And thanks. And going back to what we were talking earlier about, you were sharing about, no man is an island, right? We never. I mean, we are moving on to the next portion where your thoughts about this. We talked about you meeting a lot of people. If you remember our initial conversation, even your manager way back in Belgium.
Yeah.
So maybe what's your thoughts about this? About the connections that you make along the years with people.
Yeah, I think humans are social animals. We are basically evolved primates, right? And
Yeah.
we're all band in groups. Okay, there's jokes aside. I think it's really people that when you say I, when you talk, and even now when we are talking about you say I, most of the time you catch yourself when you say I and you think about, you look back, is it really me? Or is there other people involved? What I find is there's always other people involved. Even the people that you don't like, if you meet somebody and she tells you off, or you get into an argument, or say it's not possible, it frames your mind and your actions. So in certain cases, you have to thank your enemies to shape you into a certain path or a decision making that makes your journey. But really, what I'm saying is, okay, family, friends, partners, those really, when you meet people day to day, right? Opportunities come. So if my parents didn't allow me to do what I wanted to do with my studies, and they would have forced me, no, you have to stay in this in the general school, you have to finish your secondary education so that you go on to university. I would have stuck in that mindset and I would have finished, and I had to go to university. I would have never changed to a technical institute. I would never become an electronics engineer. Whether it's a good or a bad thing is actually irrelevant. But because I did that, I went to Philips, I came to Singapore, I met my good friends, I met my wife. All of these things happened because I chose a different path halfway through my secondary school. And that's with all the things. When Ahmad came to me and said, Wouter, we can do this alone. I would probably say that maybe without that, I would never have started a business. So if I didn't meet my wife, which is actually, I have 3 strong females in my life: my mother, my sister, and my wife. And my wife, specifically in my growing years coming to Singapore, has made me a better person. So by saying that is, again, I give credit to my wife, because you give credit to your wife, but I really mean it. I really mean it. If people around you make you who you are, and you always meet crossroads and obstacles, but you make a decision. You go left or you go right, but whether it's left or right, there's opportunities. You just have to be aware of them and make a choice that you feel good with personally, and make the best out of it.
Yeah. And for yourself, if I ask you, Walter, what's your superpower, Or what are your superpowers? What would it be?
I hear outside they're cutting the grass, so there's quite some noise from my side, Sakti. Is that something I
No,
need to do something about?
no, I think it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Superpowers. I'm not a superhero. Not by a long shot. I wouldn't say that. But what I think I've learned from myself that coming from where I was as a young boy, as a adolescent, to where I am now, I'm quite a different person. I'm not sure if there's anybody from Belgium on the call, but if people that know me from when I was younger, I'm quite a different person right now. I was very much, I think it was because I'm the eldest of my siblings. So my parents had to deal with me as a new addition to their family, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of like adopted a careful approach to life. Keep the peace. Don't get into conflict. And for the longest time, that affected me in a way that it's not the fault of my parents. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I'm an introverted person by nature. Until I got self-conscious in such a way that for the longest time until my teenage years, I had a very bad stutter. I stammered. So the way I'm talking right now, that would not have been possible when I was 9 or 10 or 11. So growing up with this and being a shy person, being an introvert, being an engineer, then slowly taking on that job, taking a new job, coming to Singapore, meeting people, having friends that open you up, and that's something that you adapt. And I think that adaptability, if I look back, that adaptability probably is something that is one of my strengths. That I can adapt to a new status quo or a new environment. Not maybe not very fast or not initially. I'm quite resistant to change, but that adaptability in life is quite important.
Yeah.
And the other thing is resilience and discipline. My belief is that you need to work hard, and I like to work with my hands. So people that know me, they know that I build my own chair. I do pottery. When something breaks down in the house, I don't go out and buy something new. I repair it. So that is something that my father has taught me. I put that on board. So I like to do things with my hands, and part of that is hard work. So I grew up with hard work, and I believe in that you have to put in the discipline to make those opportunities into something real.
And definitely, I mean, if you talk about your move from Belgium over to Singapore, and then your pivot from engineering, electronics engineering to the offshore marine engineering side of the industry, I think definitely that's a lot of adaptability that's required, and I think that's definitely one thing that I feel that it's important for any other, not only business owners, but as well as sorry, just give me a minute. I just had to yeah, cool, sorry, there was some technical stuff. Yeah, so as I was saying, yeah, it's cool. So as I was saying, I think the key thing is adaptability is one of the key important factor that one requires. We'll move on. Just give me a few minutes. Let me check. There's something on this Facebook that I have a comment. Just 1 minute. Yeah, we should be fine. All right, we'll move on.
Okay.
Yeah. So Wouter, failures, let's talk about failures, are the best teachers. Any specific experience that you feel that, has helped you?
Okay, it's always, what to say, it's a typical interview question when you go for a job application. They will ask you something like this, right? But I think it's good to look at those, and it's not very often that's something that you want to talk about, but it is something that, like you say, they are the best teachers. So I don't. How much time do you have, Sakti? I don't want to talk.
No. We have the time. No worries. Yeah, it's just that there was a message from Facebook saying that there was some disruption, so that's why I was concerned about that. But it's fine. It's fine. We are good to go.
Okay. All right. So basically, failures. I was just thinking about three things. Yeah, you failures in. Okay, let's talk about career first. I think I mentioned it earlier when I was with Dyson, right? I decided to leave to basically start the business with Ahmad. I wouldn't see it as a failure, more as a regret that I couldn't finish that project with the team. And when I left, I really, because of people believed in me and they brought me on board for a reason, and I left, and it was kind of disappointing for them, but also for me not to see that success for the team with them. I see that now that the product is launched, so I'm very happy for the team that they made a spectacular product. But it's okay. I wouldn't call that a failure, more of a regret. A real failure, something that I failed at really well, was I told you I took a part-time study.
Yeah.
So I did. I did a master's in business management, but that was not my first choice. My first choice was a master's in applied physics. And that was basically tagging on from my bachelor in electronics. Okay, let's go deeper into the science of things. I decided to take up a master's in applied physics. That didn't go well at all. You need to take an entry exam to go into whether it's NUS, NTU, or any technical university. So there's this called GRE, general test. You need to score that test at least 152 or above. 160, 180 is good, but you need to be 150 and above. I think I just managed to score double digit only.
Okay.
So I really flunked that test. And when I came out from that test, I was, wow, I really underestimated that. I didn't prepare well. I really did it. That was a massive failure on my part. So that one is one I will forever remember. The other one is my childhood. And this is a bit philosophical, but I go back to it because I think it's important for people also going into business. When I was about 9 or 10, I had a very good friend 2 houses down the road. And we were friends for many years. So we always hang out together. But he was more of an indoor person. Yeah. Sometimes we play outside. So I met another friend who was more of a bad boy. And we wanted to build huts in the forest and ride our BMX. And he had a BMX and he wanted my BMX. And so he got close to me and he said, your other friend is a bit of a nerd. I think you should beat him up. Kind of like a Medal of Honor. You join the team, you beat him up, then you belong to us. Yeah. So that's what I did. So I beat up my good friend. And I thought that would bring me on the team of the bad guys, and I would be cool. But I hurt my good friend, and that new friend, he rode on my BMX for 2 days, and then he went to find other friends. So there I was alone. So I think what it boils down to, I failed to recognize who were my true partners in life, the people that you can count on. And I was blinded by something else. So I think that's a very personal reflection, but it reflects on business as well. Make the good choice. That's what I've learned from that.
And I believe sometimes, the lessons that we learn through failures are lessons that stays with us or sticks with us the longest, a very painful lesson that, So have you used any of these lessons along these years during your business or any other times, those lessons that you learned due to these incidences?
Yeah, I would say always prepare for your decision. often you have an idea, but an idea is just an idea. If you don't drill your idea, flip it up, down, look at it left, right, center, up, down, it stays an idea. And if you work with just the idea, there's a very high chance that it will not work. So it's basically coming back to that risk management that you spoke about earlier. And the other part is, really be true to yourself and try to be, trying to look for the word, a good person. You need to have integrity, I find, to make the right choice. I think those are the two main things that I took out from those failures that I just mentioned.
Cool. And Wouter, so in years to come, what do you want Wouter to be remembered for? Your legacy, if there's anything, what would it be?
I think it's not an easy question, actually. It's a bit of a tough one. But I guess most of us, right? 99% of the people live their lives. You have your kids. You will be remembered by your kids, the kids of your kids, maybe your great grandchildren. And then, jokingly, right? Maybe it's about how many people attend your funeral.
Yeah.
But jokes aside, is really about, I guess that's that. I want to be remembered as a person with integrity who was a good person. Yeah. If I can do that and people remember me and remember me in that way, and if they stand by my coffin when I finally go into the ground and I can be remembered that way, I think I've done a good job. Because in the end, we all return to the earth that we came from, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you're a good person to the people that you're with, and you can leave the earth in a better state than when you came into it, I think that is a legacy in itself. And if everybody does that, then I think future problems will become less.
Yeah, so, and definitely the world will be a better place.
Yeah.
Right. And Wouter, we have come more towards the end of our session, our live chat. So, is there any word of advice for business owners or the viewers who are currently engaged in our chat?
Not particularly. We have touched on quite a few points. I think keep your eyes open, be self-aware, know what you can and cannot do. Where are your strengths and where are your weaknesses? And very often your strengths go hand in hand with your weaknesses. I take myself as an example. I'm a very detailed person. I need to do a lot of preparation, very process oriented. So that's good because I can prepare for that. I can do the risk assessment, but it takes time. And sometimes you need to think more on your feet. And I'm not sure if you heard about the Parkinson's law. If you have Parkinson's law, basically says if you have 1 month to do the work, you will do 1 month of work.
Okay.
Whatever work needs to be, you will take 1 month to do that work. But if you put a stick in the ground and you say, okay, I can do that by end of next week, you will work towards that target. That's basically the Parkinson's law, and that's something that for myself, that's something that I need to be mindful of because my strength is also my weakness. I can be too perfectionist and I miss the mark on the timing. So coming back, I think opportunities are the other things. Again, whether you turn left or right doesn't really matter. When you keep your eyes open, opportunities will be there, and look at them with an open mind and see whether that's a good choice for you and whether you can muster the courage to take on the opportunity, I would say.
Yeah, thanks. And I think awesome points about that. I mean, today I had a good session. First of all, I knew how the most important lesson I learned today was how the lifeboat industry works and how a company actually the importance of having lifebuoys or lifeboats or in ships itself.
It's a niche thing. Not many people know about it, so it's always quite interesting when you when you talk to people talk about lifeboats, that's something that maybe people know the movie with Tom Hanks, Captain Phillips, and yeah. So it's for many people it's a nice talking point. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it was an awesome session I had. Thank you so much, Wouter, for
So,
joining us today. And it's an awesome, well, more than an hour. I think I had a good time and a lot of sharing that was going on. And apologies that I got a bit distracted because I was more worried about the Facebook broadcast issue. So I was like slightly distracted for the 30 seconds. So apart from that, I think it was an awesome session. And thank you so much, Wouter, to join us. And
thanks a lot, and thanks everybody for the viewers and all the comments. Really enjoyed it. To be honest, I was a bit nervous because of my character as well. I'm not a public speaker, so this is not my natural state of doing things. So, but I really enjoyed it. It was something new, and really thank you, Sakti. Also, a thumbs up for you for doing this, getting this off the ground. And I wish you all the best in the next interviews, and
Right.
for your platform as well.
Thank you so much, Wouter. I mean, I really appreciate it, and the time that you had spent. Even I had a good time, even preparing and reading up all your articles about while we were preparing for the live chat. Your life stories,
Okay.
whether it's in Belgium and
My
over
pleasure,
here.
really my pleasure. So looking forward to the next time when we can meet up at the soccer pitch after COVID.
Yes, yes, definitely. We look forward for the time. Thank you, Wouter, and I'll be holding you at the holding area for a moment. Then we will catch up there itself.
We'll
Thanks,
do. We'll
Wouter.
do. Thanks everybody. Bye
All
bye.
right.
Bye.
All right, no live chat is complete without you, the viewers. Thank you so much, and definitely, thanks a lot to Wouter. He had spent a lot of time to be here, sharing so many things, and we had, many of his close friends, colleagues, and even partner and his wife, shared so many things, so many comments. Thank you so much once again. Now, again, as I said, thank you so much for spending your afternoon with me. Leave your comments and feedback so we can do it better just for you. And now it's time to say goodbye. So remember, there were none before me and there will be none after me. So therefore, that makes me the one and only. Yours truly, Shakti. And see you next week and keep moving forward.